Hey, welcome back to Team Brown Podcast. Thanks for coming back with us. This is episode 18. We just wanted to recap why we do this. And so our story is that we loved each other as kids. We grew up kind of, dating each other through our teenage years and even some of our 20s. We just always loved each other, and we got married, but life happened in the middle of that. And so our marriage, we got a divorce. Really long story. It was awful. Neither one of us wanted any of that, but God reunited our families. And so we wanted to at least bring some practical tips to folks, and even just some life tips of like, hey, this is how we view parenting. This is how we view marriage. This is how we protect family. This is what life looks like when we do things that are maybe off the beaten path a little bit, and not to elevate us, but to just maybe breathe hope into situations maybe in your life where you're like, I don't even know what that looks like. And so that's why we do this podcast, is just to say we have a really maybe unique story. I think less than 4% of people who get married go through what we went through, where they actually get back together and it works out. And so remarried. Yeah. And so this is why we do this, and we hope it blesses you. We hope that you're having fun with us. And so today we're going to talk about whenever you spend time with folks, it is actually a tangible evidence of the fact that you love them, right? And so your time exchange demonstrates love. Mm-hmm. So Ms. Brown, talk about that. What does that mean?
Well, we do family date days or family date nights as a family, where we spend time with our kiddos and go do something fun, like get ice cream or snow cones or go to dinner. Our kids love to go to sushi is usually what they choose. I think it's always sushi.
Every time. Where do you guys want to go?
Yeah. But yeah, we do that. I love people too and spending time with people. So I do a lot of like coffee dates with women and a lot of breakfast where I meet women for breakfast and for coffee or tea or dinner or lunch. Or play dates or at the park. I just like to encourage women, and so that's kind of, I feel like that's how I can show love, is being with them.
And it takes levels, right? Like, I mean, you probably know this in your own life, where it's like, you can shoot me a text and it's kind of meaningless, right? It's real short, and it's, even though you're responding to me, I appreciate the response, but there's not a lot there. You make a call to me and it's maybe like, okay, now we can actually talk this out, and it's a little bit more efficient than text. You FaceTime me and it's like, all right, now we're actually like in the same room with each other, even though we're not. Or if you're in business, maybe a Zoom call or like something like that. And but there's just no exchange. There's just no there's just nothing like being face to face with somebody, sitting across from somebody, doing coffee with somebody or a meal or something. And so that's us. I mean, like, I work remote a lot, and so it's like when we're far away, we talk and we shoot texts and stuff. But it's like, man, there's just nothing like being near each other, being around each other. Mm-hmm. There's so much that's lost whenever you're not, right? I mean, we saw this in the last couple of years with the COVID stuff, which is like kids lost a lot of the haptics, which is how close you are to somebody. What's the body language look like? What's a smile look like, for God's sakes? There's just a lot that's lost whenever you're not like this. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's just so much, there's value in time, right? And there's love shown in time, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if you're a woman watching this like me, but I love quality time. That's my favorite, is quality time. And so when Jeremy and I are talking or spending time together, I'm like, look at my eyes. I want to like see his eyes, right? I want to look in his eyes. So for me, quality time is not a movie or watching a show or TV, like where we're looking at a screen, we're not looking at each other and we're not talking, we're not engaging because we're just looking at a screen. To me, that feels like a loss of time or a rob of time. I would much rather like sit with Jeremy and like look in his eyes and talk to him and have a conversation or play a game with him, like Scrabble. We do Scrabble, or we play cards a lot. Tonight we played checkers. And they're like old people. He's making fun of us. Like, actually, I was making fun of us.
Well, tell the joke. What happened this morning?
This morning, we're sitting on our porch. If you've seen our property, I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but we're sitting on our porch in our rocking chairs, sipping our coffee, And he says, we need to go to Cracker Barrel today and get that checker game, that big checker game. I said, why? We're not old people. We don't play checkers. He goes, yes, we are old. Look at us. We're sitting on our porch. We're drinking our coffee. We're looking at flowers. We're watching the birds come in our birdhouse. We are old.
Definitely old.
And I'm like, oh, I guess we are old. Well, it's fun to be old, Yeah. So anyways, we did that today. We had a family date day, and we took the kids out to lunch, and then snow cones, and then this beautiful garden shop that they like. And we're to the Cracker Barrel to get the checker game. It's hilarious. So we play checkers tonight. Anyway, all that to say, I would much rather, like, look in his eyes. Even, this is funny, kind of telling on myself, but he'll be in the front room. Like, we have a room at the front of the house, and then we have 3 rooms at the back of the house. And our house is not huge, but just to give you a little, just kind of describe it. Because if I miss him, or if I want him to be next to me, or if I want him to hold me at night and I'm going to go to bed, I'll call him on my cell phone from the room, and he'll be in the front room, and I'm like, can you just come hold me just like 5 minutes? Can you just come home just until I fall asleep? Can you just come hold me? And he's like in the house, but
I'm just, are you calling me from the other room right now?
I'm just calling him. I'm like, sometimes I just want to be held, right? And I don't know if you can relate, but those are my love languages. I just want physical time, physical touch, quality time, and it does show that you love me,
Yeah. There was a season in our life whenever we were apart from each other, and you can feel it, right? You can feel that it's like super disjoined, and it's like, man, I don't know if the love is there. Like, I know I love her, but like, it's hard because that you don't feel it, right? You're not next to each other, and there's something that is delivered, right? Whenever you're with each other, there's something that is kind of in the ether where it's like, I feel it. I can actually feel that you love me, which is, I don't know, maybe that's weird, or maybe that's just the feels, but I think that, like, maybe this is an encouragement to you as a family. To, if you're not spending time with your kids, and your kids are maybe on devices or whatever, ours do too, but like, be intentional about carving out time to say, hey, we're actually going to look each other in the face. Today was Mexican food, right? It was like, we're going to look across the table from each other and talk, and have conversations in the car and at snow cones and all this stuff, and play checkers with you. Like, we're going to be intentional with our time, and we're going to be protecting that. Same thing as a family, like as a marriage. If you're not spending time with your spouse, we do this when we get in fights, when we get upset with each other, not physically, obviously, but like whenever we have arguments, and it's like, there's something important about not being disconnected from each other, right? Staying connected to each other. Several episodes ago, we talked about even intimacy, right? It's like, hey, there's value here with being connected to each other and spending quality time with one another as a marriage. And so maybe this is an encouragement. If you're not doing that, start putting, not on a calendar necessarily, but really start being intentional about, like, hey, where my default setting might be to just go and watch Netflix, or go and play video games or something, or go away and by myself. For me, it's piano or whatever. That's not a group sport, that's an individual sport. And so I have to be intentional with, like, I'm going to put down the thing that can suck my time, that can be a time suck. And I can, put my family at the priority. I can put my marriage as a priority, and I can put it at the top of the list. So what's your thoughts?
I think that these are things we value because we lost our family before. Yeah. So we were divorced. If you go back and watch episode 1, 2, 3, I think we talked a lot about actually what took place in our marriage, but we were divorced 3.5 years. So like Jeremy said, we know what it's like to be away from each other physically and have no contact, no conversations, and not see each other for a year. We didn't see each other a year. Then when we did see each other, it was like in the courtroom. It was a really awful experience. So now that we're together, it's just really a joy, right? That's why I call him Can you hold me? Like, it's just nice. It's nice to be held now. It's nice to actually wake up and have my husband there, to turn over and to see him, or to lay next to him at night. Because there was times where we didn't have that. You know, you go to bed alone, and you guys know, watching, if you've been separated from your spouse at all or divorced, it's hard waking up and turning over and the bed's empty next to you. It's really sad. So it's when you have your spouse there, and if you're fortunate enough listening and you still have your spouse there, you know, enjoy that time. Enjoy your intimacy. Enjoy your moments. Make time for it. I mean, sometimes I have to go grab Jeremy, and I'm like, come on, quick. Come on, lock the door real quick. You know, because, you know, you have to be intentional. Like,
sure.
The kids, if you have kids, right? Most people have kids. It's not ever going to be perfect. There's not ever going to be this beautiful, romantic, like, flawless time like the movies show you. No, you have kids, you have jobs, right? You have lives. And so you have to be intentional about when can we be intimate, and when can we connect, and when can we come together. And you have to get creative, right? And you have to just make it a priority. So
it's a family podcast.
This is a family podcast, but, you know, your kids will benefit from it as well if they have happy parents,
sure.
Right? They have parents that love each other and that are close and connected. So
yeah, I think this also goes for, you know, with us, and I know we're having fun with this, but like for us, it's there's a lot of times whenever people have need, right? And they reach out to you and say, I just need to get in front of you. Like, are you available?
Yeah.
And it is your willingness to say, yeah, I can do Monday, you know, or I can do Tuesday or whatever, at whatever time for coffee, and I can hear your story, and I can tell you what I think, or I can at least give you hope, right? And that's love, right? There's a season with one of my friends years ago, without saying his name, without saying his situation, where he's going through one of the darkest seasons of his life. And it was like, all right, let's just sit down and talk this out. And it wasn't a question of like, do you have time to come over and talk it out with me? It was like, I'll see you in 15 minutes. I'm not giving you an option. Like, if we're fam, like if we're friends and I love you, get your butt over here and let's talk it out. Because the worst place to be is dark and alone, right? The worst place to be is isolated. And that's what the devil wants. And so it was a matter of just saying, let's work this thing out together. And that is love, right? It's showing love to say, you're not going to do this alone. And I don't want you to be alone. I don't want to be alone personally, but I'm not going to let you be alone. And yeah, so if you right now are struggling with that, or if you're like, hey, that's something I really need to put as a priority, maybe I haven't done a great job at that, or even, hey, you know, it's a great reminder, man, thanks for doing that. We want to bless you with just seeing maybe how this practically looks. Hey, date nights, board games, you know, being willing for it not to be perfect, right? These are all practical steps to just protecting time with your family. So anything else before we go? All right, we hope you enjoy. We know we said like intimacy like 15 times in this one, so we hope you had a good one. We'll see you for episode 19. God bless you guys. Thanks so much.